Heather Greene, whiskey expert and author, and this is a continuation of our bourbon class. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Some people had questions. How do I source? So we talked about distillation. You guys know that was the entire first season of Whiskey School is distillation, and now you know we do all that here. But how do I source whiskeys? Yes, I told you I love sourcing whiskeys. I love painting with whiskey. I think of it as like all these different colors for your mouth and your head and your all that stuff. And I don't know, I'm getting really geeky and weird. But so how do I do it? Well, how I do it is that, let's say, there's actually numerous ways that samples and whiskeys come to us. So they come in the form of 50 mLs or 100 ml, almost like airport size. They come to us in little tiny bottles, and we evaluate them. So we say to ourselves, do we like it? Do we not like it? I look at the barrel proof, or the proof at which it was filled in the barrel, I should say. I look at things like age. I look at price. And then I try to extrapolate, like, how can I use this? Is this something that I could use to create something beautiful? Does it really kind of just need to stand on its own? And did I just stumble into a lot of great whiskeys that actually don't need much and they didn't want it? Or should it be blended or batch? So we look at all these different ways in what we can use these samples. And of course, we reject samples. It has to fit into our growth strategy. It has to fit in a profile, obviously, that we're looking for our house whiskeys here at Mild and Greene. So I really am looking for a lot of things when I'm sourcing. I also will go out and actually seek and ask distilleries. So I may ask a distillery, or I may ask a grand facility, like, hey, listen, we need some of this profile, or I want to make whiskey like this. Can you help me do it? And they will say yes or no, right? So it depends. Whiskey's on fire, bourbon's on fire. They may not have any time for me in their schedule to create a particular whiskey that year for me. Most cases they do, not always, but you can't just walk in and call Kentucky, hi Kentucky, can I have 100 barrels of bourbon for myself or for my small distillery? No, it doesn't work that way. In fact, happily, many of these big distilleries in Kentucky or Tennessee, it's not like they're just out there to get your money. They do want to make sure that the whiskey that they're the people who they're producing for are actually going to create and sell whiskey. That's why there's some systems behind how we do what we do. Whiskey's on fire. Another reason why they do this is because there's investors around the world who would love to get their hands in Kentucky whiskey to basically buy barrels and just keep them in Kentucky and sell them at a later date at kind of like a house flipper, right? So they're going to buy them at a certain price, and then they're going to flip it and get a higher price down the road. Well, to circumvent that, you do have to have a DSP to be able to work with a lot of these distillers. So when I'm sourcing whiskeys, it's good for other partners to know that we actually are producing whiskey for a company and for a brand. So that's another way I source, is I go into Kentucky and try to find people to make whiskey with us according to our parameters. We also go in and we actually distill ourselves at different distilleries, at a distillery in Kentucky in addition here. And then I have a lot of people who, how do we source? Some people just call and say, I've got 80 barrels I found or I invested in. I can't use them. Can you use them? And we may negotiate a price, or I may say, this isn't something that I can use, or this is something I can use. So there's a lot that goes into, we have a sample room. There's a lot that goes into sourcing, blending, and batching. So a lot of people would have you think that it's like, hey, just bring it in and bottle it. It doesn't really work that way. You're dealing with flavor, you're dealing with texture, you're dealing with projections, you're dealing with cost, you're dealing with inventory, you're dealing with warehousing, you're dealing with terroir, where you're going to store those. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. If you're doing it right, it's not as simple as it may seem.